Georgia's recent Colonial pipeline attack serves as the final straw, forcing the U.S. Justice Department to treat future ransomware attacks as a form of terrorism. So with that said, let's sit back and sync up with Rocket IT's technology update. Hello everyone, my name is Devin McLean, Rocket IT's project engineer, and welcome to the first installment of Sync Up, your new home for trending technology news. This week, our focus is on the recent headlines involving two nationwide businesses, Colonial Pipeline and JBS. So let's start off with the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. Early May 7th, Colonial Pipeline was hit by ransomware. Everyone remembers this because there was a shortage of oil. What's unique about this pipeline ransomware is this is the first ransomware that has garnered nationwide coverage because it has struck a critical piece of American infrastructure. Colonial Pipeline did end up paying the ransom, and they managed to limit the effect of the ransomware spread by shutting down their network, which in a sense caused the pipeline to cease producing and distributing oil across the eastern half of the United States. In a Wall Street Journal interview with the Colonial Pipeline CEO, Joseph Blunt, the company confirmed that it had paid hackers more than $4 million to restore services. In his announcement, Blunt said, "I know that's a highly controversial decision. I didn't make it lightly. I will admit that I wasn't comfortable seeing the money go out the door to people like this, but it was the right thing to do for the country." The next major attack is the attack on JBS. So this attack was carried out by the company that goes by Revo. So the reason for this importance is we see that there are a lot of different companies or multiple companies out there that are conducting the ransomware attacks, which has caused the U.S. Justice Department to label this as a form of terrorism. This means that as a corporation in the United States, you have to now meet a certain amount of security standards depicted by the U.S. Justice Department in order to make sure that you are not as vulnerable compared to regular businesses, since for the most part they control critical infrastructure in the United States, whether it's food distribution, electricity, oil, natural gas, and other necessities for U.S. citizens. Attacks like this are going to become a lot more frequent in the future, mostly because one, ransomware businesses, they are businesses now, are seeing that it is profitable for them to attack infrastructure and companies, and for a large part, companies haven't been spending that much capital on their security side of their business. Because of the lack of a focus on security, companies generally are a lot more vulnerable in this area, and they have a lot of catching up to do in order to meet the same security standards necessary to match the attacks produced by ransomware companies. I would like to note that this is just the companies that we have heard about nationwide. There are a lot of smaller companies and a lot more regional companies where their being hit by ransomware hasn't caused a very widespread effect across the nation or across the state, but ransom attacks have become a lot more common. Recently, we've had attacks on EA, other smaller oil companies in Texas, and many previous companies in the past. The second aspect to this is the backup infrastructure. A lot of companies don't properly have adequate backups in order to restore their services if their servers do go down. One thing I would like to mention regarding the payouts of these ransom, just because the hackers have given the ransom or the encryption key with the ransom payment doesn't mean that servers and networks are instantly restored to the client, because it is still a long process of individually going through and decrypting every single machine that was hit by the ransomware. So restoration of the full network will take months, if not years, depending on how expansive the network is for each company. Colonial Pipeline right now is currently feeling that pressure because they're having to spend another $10 million to fully restore their network after paying the $4 million ransom to DarkSide. So what can business leaders do to protect their company's assets and not become another victim? Everyone should be taking extreme caution when it comes to upgrading their security services and security software on their servers and on their networks to make sure that they're no longer vulnerable to ransomware attacks like this. One other security precaution that can be taken is a hardware key token. So that means although you might have a user's password, you might have their MFA, without that hardware key token being plugged directly into a machine or into a device, you will not gain network access. This is very important. It's used by the government currently right now in order to secure their devices. If corporations started using tokens like this, it would be a large boost to preventing network intrusions in the future. Rocket IT currently recommends using YubiKey as their hardware token. It has a wide variety of applications that it can be implemented with, along with Active Directory for the local network implementations. For many businesses, these events and the U.S. Justice Department's heightened policies around them serve as signs to review your cyber insurance policies, train employees, and remain vigilant. In the meantime, we'll keep you up to date with trending technology news on the next episode of Sync Up.